Tennessee number 2, and the debate begins for probably the top 8 or so teams in the nation. And this does seem to be a wide open year of can they make the Final Four?
Yeah.
Can Tennessee make the Final Four? How confident do you feel that they could make the Final Four?
I'm very confident. I'm as confident as we are that Zakai Ziegler can keep this up. I think that's it for me right there. Adding in what Olivier brings to the game, if he get not 27-8, but 12-8, 12-6 consistently, if he can bring that the way Josiah's playing, the way everybody is playing at this level, and not saying that Zakai is playing through the roof, which he is, but at the same time, just the point production and assist to turnover ratio. So when you look at that, man, him only having since the second half of Mississippi State, I think 4 or 5 turnovers, give or take one. That's pretty impressive, man, because some of those games were on the road, high octane games like Texas, where the ball is up and down and they're playing full court pressure. Big 12 being one of the best conferences in the nation right now. The way they played against them, the top 2 teams out of there, the way they played against Kansas early on in the year, something has to be said for that. You know what I'm saying? So I think they're Final Four already, man. And the way they're being treated, to me, is the reason why. Because I've never seen even the basketball program be ranked number 2 in the nation, and it not be any. If you think back, what was it, 2-3 years ago when they were they reached number 1 or number 2 or something? The hoopla was crazy. It was like, whoa. I was even saying like, hey, y'all, everybody, wait a minute, like pump your brakes just a little bit, give them time, and then they tumbled a little bit, but kept fighting. But in this situation, number 2 to me is so earned. It's so earned, and it's no hoopla around it. Like if this was Hyper's football team, and this is no knock on them. If this was Hyper's football team, imagine everything that'll be around it if they were number 2 and stamped a solid number 2, like no question. Not like the rankings come out and they got to play number 1 Georgia and they flip it for the ratings and then something like that. This is a real number 2 team that stayed there, lost to Colorado, worked their way back up, lost to Kentucky, worked their way back up, stayed there hovering around 5-4. People lost in front of them. They jumped in number 2, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If this was Vitello's baseball team, would we be arguing? I mean, would we be up in arms talking about number 2? I see everybody walking around with Vols baseball shirts and things like that. Why is the fan base, and maybe it's me, maybe I'm too close to the situation, but I don't feel the love really.
No, I don't think it is you. And I think Tennessee basketball fans have always been intriguing in that respect. I felt like there were times that they gravitated towards teams that weren't as good as other teams. Help me with the year specifically, but it was Tony Harris was one of the leaders of the team.
Yep.
And now Jerry Green made some public comments that didn't
right. Now that hurt.
Yeah, that hurt. But I just felt like the fan base never really gravitated towards that team and was almost waiting for them to lose. Yep. I don't know why. I don't see that in other sports though. I don't know why.
And Dave, I think maybe that's why it's touching me so much because even that's my sophomore year, which was Tony's senior year, we were ranked number 4 in the nation.
Right.
And it didn't feel like we were number 4. It felt like we had more hoopla the year before when we went on the Sweet 16 run, with people embracing us. And instead with everybody pretty much coming back, you didn't feel like, man, this the team right here. It was still like we had to go out there and show and prove, which is cool. You know what I'm saying? There's a chip on the shoulder. We can roll with it, but I just don't see it, man, in other places, in other sports, other programs where you got to fight. And listen, Coach Barnes has been in this situation many a times. Now you even have some of these guys like Santi and guys that have been at the bottom and been at the height. Josiah have been through a lot of it, where they understand that what comes with the fanfare. And sometimes it is better to go up under the radar. But my thing is, man, embrace every moment and give the flowers when the flowers are supposed to be given. even if it's win or lose, give them the flowers and let them roll with it. Let them decide. Like, you don't choose to be able to get to the end and be like, I told you all year. I told you the Vols were good. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, nobody told us the Vols were supposed to be right here. No, they did not. So that's my whole thing, man. Like, I don't want to hear people, and I'm keeping receipts. I don't want to hear people jumping on the bandwagon like, oh man, I told them the Vols were gonna be right there at the Final Four. No, you did not. No, you did not. Like you just said, you was waiting on the shoe to fall. You was waiting on them to get put out in the first round. You waiting on them to get put out in the second round. So when they make this run, and I said when they make this run, I'm gonna have everybody right there. I'm gonna be checking them off at the door. Right there at the door of the boom boom room. Can you get in? Nope. I looked at your social media. You wasn't riding with them. You nope. You know, I'm just gonna check it out. And you ain't gonna be able to get it. You just gonna have to watch. I'm gonna put a little window. I'm gonna cut a little window out, a small one, where everybody can look in. They can pay $5 to look in the window and watch this team celebrate going to the Final Four, and then they got to move on. They got 2 minutes at the window. That's it.
For the basketball voyeurs out there, Ron Slay's appearance brought to you by Zach England of Best and Brock. You can go toe-to-toe with those insurance company attorneys, and he will win a personal injury attorney in Chattanooga. Zach's got your back of Best and Brock. Caleb?
All right, someone is going to have to bring in the objectivity. And Ron, you can
Let's
put me
do it.
on that list. And I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm with it. I'm with it.
You strike me, Ron, as someone who does think Hoosiers was a good movie. And it was a horrible movie. And I say that people who think this Tennessee basketball team is Final Four caliber right now are still stuck in an old school way of basketball that hasn't existed in college basketball in the shot clock era, in the 30-second shot clock era. And my take is they are shooting right now, and I just pulled it up, and I pulled it up yesterday, but I just want to be sure, 33.9% from three. Nobody since the 30-second shot clock started has shot worse than 36% from three. Ron, you were one of the unique players of your time. You shot 37% from three as a power forward. I will never forget, by the way, to your credit, Jim Herrick, like being absolutely shocked that you could hit those 3-pointers not in a post-game press conference. How could you, Ron Slay, a big man who worked hard on your 3-point game, respect a team that can't even shoot 35% from three in this era?
Yeah, so Caleb, let me answer you one by one. First, I've never seen Hoosiers. Reason being, I know there may be a demerit on my part, but I never buy into the fads and the this movie is so great, and I never buy into it. To me, Glory Road was one of the hell of a movies that's up real high up on my list. But outside of that, when you look at it, I totally understand what you're saying, Caleb. I totally understand. But this is my thing with this team. You don't have to consistently be there when shooting that way, but you do have to be able to answer the moments. And when it's called upon for you to make those shots, the way they play defense and the slumps that they go through offensively, when you combine those, if you can make shots such as the Mississippi State game when they were reeling and Santi couldn't get going, his shoulder was knocked out. So you were looking for someone to be like, who can take that moment? I think that was the biggest thing. The reason they lost against Michigan last year, because when Santi was moved out of the game and taken out of the game by being denied, who can make those shots in that moment? Josiah missed them. Zakai missed them. Olivier was out. Euros was being the 5 guy to try to make the decision, making good decisions, but guys were missing the shots. In this situation, ever since the Kentucky loss and there being a physical performance that didn't rely on shooting, I just think they got pumped in that game. Outside of that game, Colorado is an anomaly. You know what I'm saying? We'll accept that. Arizona, it was what it was. Arizona was really good. That's a team that they could see in the Final Four, or they could see in the March Madness, and it could come to a head. But outside of that, you look at the Mississippi State game, who answered the bell? Zakai in the second half. The LSU game, you still had guys being out. Who was the guy to come in and answer the bell? Tyreek Key. He answered the bell. You know what I'm saying? So in these moments, when you're asking people, Josiah answered the bell. When you're asking people who answers the moment the biggest and efficiently, it's an array guys. You know what I'm saying? I think this is what they were missing. When it comes down to the numbers, now that's one thing I'm not. I'm not a numbers guy. I hate numbers because I'm more of an eye test, put me in the moment and see what I can do in that test. Because one thing for sure, if I'm not shooting well, you better not have nobody else shooting the ball coming down the stretch of this game. I tell you that. I don't care if I'm 25% in this game. You give that ball to somebody else, we got a problem when we get to the locker room. And it is what it is. You got to suspend me, whatever, but I'm checking somebody. So I'm an in the moment guy, eye test guy. The numbers, I understand them, but man, this defense, and not turning the ball over. I think that was a lot of the problem too when you come down the stretch of games. Turning the ball over and Santi being denied. I'm okay with Santi being denied. Now, to me, it doesn't look like people are standing around just keep running Santi off the bottom double exit screens at the low block trying to get them open, and they just switching. Now, instead of everybody doing that 4 times and looking, man, they just pass it to Josiah. He go to work. They pass it to Zakai, and his man got so much space off him, he's knocking that shot down or getting past him, or it's so many defenders stand with their guys. Olivier has time to operate. Now, that's the key to me. That's the key to me. Will he play with that aggressiveness for the rest of the season? Or will he start catching the ball? Like, this was the first time he caught the ball and didn't keep looking at the other basket. He faced up. I was like, oh, wait a minute. What are we doing here? Like, maybe he went back and looked at the Grant Williams tapes. Grant would get it every time and face up immediately. Like, why wouldn't you be a threat? So when you get to see him doing that, this is a different mentality team. And guess what? All that pays off because you got 4 seniors out there leading.
Yep. Ron, when you talk about the eye test. When you watch Zakai Ziegler, let's pretend I've never seen a Tennessee basketball game, and you and I are sitting on the couch and we're watching Tennessee play.
Do we got beer? We got libations? What we got going on? We just water and popcorn or what?
We got whatever you want. No, we got it all. We got it all. But I'm on a strict low carb diet, so I have to be careful. But when we're watching the game, and I've never seen Tennessee before, and I go, this is Zakai Ziegler. What do I need to look for early on? Because I've heard he can be a little inconsistent. Mm-hmm. What do you see in the first 5 minutes of the game that indicates whether or not he's going to have a good, great, or okay game?
I watch to see if he is what is dictating his game. That's what I always watch for. And anytime it's the defensive end, that means he has a foundation. He's all right. Because one thing about it, man, when you're looking at him, you got 4 of your teammates looking at you for you to set the tone, offense or defense. If you're on defense, they're watching you to see how you pressure the ball, where they should be in the help side, what kind of intensity they should bring. And then on offense, it's the same thing. They're watching you to see what play we're going to run. What do we need to get into? If you look dazed and confused, then we're going to be in trouble. But to see his calm and look as if he knows what he's doing and running the team the right way on both sides of the floor, that's what I look for first. You can kind of see it on him. If he's kind of, I guess, like scatterbrained and thinking about a whole lot of different things, like, man, I need to get the score. I need to kind of just, man, flows with the game. And he has a great, he got a great thermometer right now great thermostat on the game right now, because he goes in and sets the tone, and that's the climate for the game the entire way. And he's done a great job of not wavering in that. Even the games that they lost, Mississippi State, he came out, it was like he was pressing. You know what I'm saying? It was like, let me run the offense and, but they pressuring. Oh, what do I need to do? Then he tried to start doing too much. No, man, you fast beat them. You can't pressure you. It ain't what are you playing with the ball for? Up on you, go by him. Back up off of you, you can set up whatever you need to. But you got to use that. So it looks like he has a good gauge on exactly what pace he should be playing with, how he should be doing it. And he lets his defense dictate the game. That's what I love the most.
Ron, going back to Olivier for a minute, because you're right, he might change my mind. Because one of the things that I knew Grant Williams could do so well was Grant Williams could stretch the floor. You know, he could pull 15, 20 feet out. How important is it for Olivier to be able to do that on a consistent basis, particularly when Zakai is being Zakai going to the basket to keep Olivier as a threat?
I think that's huge. I think you look at it, and when we were talking about teams like Arizona, the reason they're good, especially playing the style they play similar to what Tennessee plays, the 2 traditional big men, like which nobody really plays. Like when you're talking about stretching the floor out with a 4-man, it's different nowadays. You know, they could throw me at the 5 nowadays, and I'll be all right and still be able to stretch the floor. I think that's why Arkansas was going to be dangerous by Brazil being able to stretch the floor and be that athletic guy. But with Olivier, it's important because you're playing with a 5-man, a 7-footer the majority of the time in Euros down there, or if he subs out playing what they do down there. And then if Toby gets in with him, it's kind of the same thing, just shorter, but he's not going out far, so he's going to be right there in the paint. So you got to be able to have 4 guys on the perimeter so the paint is not so clogged the way Zakai's playing. If his guy can pressure up on him and you got 2 bigs down low, I mean, you got 4 people in the paint clogging it up like the old early 90s and mid-90s of NBA basketball. You go beat your man, and it's another help defender right there. Right now, with the floor being spaced like that, you beat your man, and there is no help defender. The help defender is Olivier's or whoever the 5-man is. The reason Euros had a really good game against Kentucky because the floor was spaced. He took Olivier out, and Euros was right there just moving to the open spot. They're getting there, dropping it off. It's a breakdown. It's an easy bucket. So with 2 bigs down there, it will not happen that way. You cannot get the movement. You cannot get the passing and cutting into that way. I think that's why the small lineup has been actually working really, really well because the floor is so spaced, and you have to deny the shooters where you not deny, but you can't leave them for as long. So it's important for Olivier to be able to knock down not just that 15-footer when getting it in one-on-one, but at least 18 to 20 to keep his man at least 1 step from him. You know what I'm saying? If he 2 steps from him, that means he in the paint playing zone. He can recover. You're not really a threat. But 1 step, then you got to kind of guess. So, yeah, I think it's big time for Olivier to be a threat out there.